And on that note,
I really want to make sure he gets Princess Hood out of this game.
so what happened last game?
Oh, we burnt so many bridges.
Well, last game we were fine.
Somebody dropped a dime about our current party situation. Jozen caught wind of it, put the fear of God into Darius, and made him skip town.
I don't think we actually know what Jozen did to Darius.
There was a problem. He took care of it.
No, the thing is, you're all assuming that Johnson did something.
You're muted, Sam.
Echo.
You assume that Johnson did something. He didn't. He just said, hey, you need help. I'm here. Ignore the fact that some other fucker had taken my place for a bit.
No, Jozen said he took care of it.
Yeah, Jozen said he took care of it.
Josen
Several
did
times.
Yeah, a couple times.
Like, it became a running gag, because Kira was like, what do you mean you took care of it? And Macklin was like, he took care of it. It's not a problem anymore.
There's nothing to see here.
There was a barbarian. He's gone now.
Let's see. They never did find Gren. Seamus,
We have no idea where Gren would have gone. It's a mystery.
Seamus flew off, and we're not sure where he went until the next day when we met up with him again. We followed tracks up to the castle, but then he sent a message to Kior saying that he needs time and to be alone, and Kior was like, yeah, looks like the trail ends here. Maybe it's a good idea to leave him alone. Let's just go. People actually believed her. The doppelganger we were chasing got away. I know Macklin and Ilya were in the lead, and they lost track of him.
Ilya explained where the doppelgangers were from. And I can't for the life of me remember who it was because I didn't have a pen last session and didn't write down any notes.
It was a duke, like a southern lord.
It was a southern duke who wanted the Whitestone of Whitestone. It was a count.
And Macklin tried to convince Kior that there was nothing to worry about because they were working for some mortal count, and Kior was like, well, who's the count working for? And Macklin didn't have an answer for it.
He wasn't trying to convince her that it wasn't an issue, just that it reeked of nobility drama. That this seems like a petty thing.
And Kior was totally like, well, Vecna could be using them to get information on the city, and Macklin had no one but himself to blame for increasing Kior's paranoia for the previous session.
I mean, she's not wrong to worry. They can definitely... I mean, he didn't disagree that it's a good idea to check in on this guy.
Granted, Kior didn't push her point that much, since she was continuing trying to be Zen after the previous game.
Oh,
Or
is that what
Zen
she's
is
trying to
cheating
do?
it.
I thought
As
she
Zen
was
is cheating
lobotomized.
The following day, they met up with Jozen and Seamus over at Seamus's house, and
Had an
kinda-
idyllic breakfast.
over breakfast and worked out a plan of action. Oh, I forgot to mention Kior left a note for Seamus the night before. Nothing has come of it so far, but tension seemed to have been eased over breakfast, at least. I think, was it at breakfast where they all decided that for their next move they're going to hell? Or no, the fire domain?
Elemental plane of fire, I think.
Yeah.
Dozen speaks primordial.
So they went to the magic shop to prepare. Then a bunch of them had to go back to the garrison, and Kior had some things to attend to. Namely, changing her resistance to fire and taking care of some shopping real briefly. and another task that'll probably be brought up later in tonight's play. She said she'd meet up with them at the Sun Tree in an hour.
Alright, so those that went to the garrison to check with the quartermaster.
Yes.
So you guys get there. You arrive at the kind of small office area, and standing on a stool behind the counter is Alina, who grins at you all as you approach.
Alina? Have I met Alina?
Yes.
Yes. I smile as I walk up. Oh, still working for Lord Whistlebutt.
I wouldn't call him Lord. I mean, I would call him Lord Whistlebutt, but I wouldn't suggest you call him Lord Whistlebutt. Not when he can hear you.
Whistlebutt, really?
That's not his real name. It's Whistlebottom. And you
That's
see
not-
one of the 6-year-olds that Cure tends to boss around. Standing
That's
behind
no
the counter.
better. That's just as bad.
It's a fart euphemism, and we tease
Yes.
him about it
Yes, I
mercilessly.
get fart jokes.
Do you, though,
yes.
Macklin? Do you understand
I
the
understand it as much.
preciousness of a fart joke?
One of the perks of being alive, I think.
So, what you need?
Well, I'm going to need some ammunition for... I rummage through my bag and pull out the Whitestone rifle. And I look at it. I sigh and I set it down. And I put the one piece of ammo down. I really don't get to use this, so this needs to go back to the stocks. But I need however much ammunition that can be spared for a sidearm.
She looks at you and moves the rifle underneath the counter. And the rifle is nearly as big as she is. She looks at you, and she takes the bullet and kind of disappears it. Roll me perception checks, those that are watching.
Perception.
Well, that automatically makes Jocelyn fail.
Yep, Jocelyn automatically fails this one.
Rolling. 23!
Okay.
Not one.
Jocelyn, you see her move the bullet like it's being swept towards the towards a small barrel where it looks like various ammunition is kept, and kind of palms it behind your fingers and slips it into a pocket.
I think she meant Macklin. You saw that.
Oh yeah, Macklin, you saw that.
Clever girl. Was there anything special about that ammunition?
No, it appears to be lead balls. They could, I mean, looking at it, it could be used as a call drop. Could be used as marbles.
Isn't that peculiar? He makes no note of it, pays no heed. Kid's gonna steal if they're good at it. Great.
So you want ammunition for a sidearm? What sort of sidearm?
Well, I stop for a minute and then I pull out the just one sidearm that had been handed to me by Lord Whistlebottom, by Quartermaster Whistlebottom.
She reaches out to take it, and a small, but slightly larger than hers, hands kind of clamps on her wrist and pulls it back. What did we say about touching the guns? As a elderly gnome man appears at her side almost instantaneously. Lita kind of rolls her eyes a little bit. Fine. Don't touch the guns. Must be at least this tall to touch the guns. As Mr. Whistlebottom, Quartermaster Whistlebottom, takes her spot behind the counter. So, ammunition?
Yes. Any that can be spared, yes.
I can give you about 50 rounds.
That'll do.
He takes out a small, like, leather pouch, fills it, and puts it on the counter.
I give him a nod and take the rounds and get them properly stashed.
Anyone else?
No, thank you.
Macklin approaches second. I don't suppose you have crossbow quarrels, bolts.
Some.
Macklin shrugs his shoulder and undoes the short bow that's been hanging on his back. Withdraws a quiver of arrows. Haven't been seeing much use for these as of late. Still in rather good condition. Could potentially go back to the barracks. Was considering perhaps you might want to make a trade, offset the cost of the bolts.
Let's do a 1-for-1 trade. I'm sure Ilya can find some use for these.
Yeah, alright.
Her foresters have been doing most of the patrols, and they go through arrows like nobody's business.
Alright, so I'll trade 37 arrows for 37 bolts.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that should be fine. And I'll keep the bow just in case. It's lightweight anyway.
Okay.
That should do it for me.
Sounds good.
Cure didn't follow us?
Cure did not follow you.
No, she said she had something she needed to do and left.
That was announced to the group, so Seamus would
Yes.
know.
Yeah, no, I'm reminding him.
Yeah, so I look at Whistlebottom and don't let her push you around. I say with a grin and motioning to Ilyana.
Whistlebottom just looks at you. She's 7.
She's a Taldore.
She's my apprentice.
Okay.
Elena kind of looks at you and like sticks her tongue out at you.
Perhaps the apprentice of several masters, judging by the handwork. I give Seamus a little nudge with the elbow as we go.
I chuckle and properly holster the sidearm. Make sure everything's looking all proper on my body before moving on with Macklin. I gotta keep up appearances, of course.
As we go to leave, Macklin sticks close to Seamus and quietly speaks up as they make their way outside. Seamus, as I recall, you have a history with the Vox Machina. They liberated you when you were young, yes?
I go silent for a moment and just give a quick nod.
And as I understand it, you are a bard? A singer? Well, of course. You didn't perhaps reimagine yourself based upon... what was his name? One Scanlan Shorthalt?
No. I after that chuckle and laugh, I quiet down and focus on just responding to him while we're walking. No. Becoming a bard was happenstance. Where they rescued me, I was. It kept me alive. I tapped the cittern on my shoulder.
Oi!
I learned on this.
Self-taught?
Microphone activated.
Yes, a bit.
Interesting, but perhaps not the answer I was looking for. And Macklin reaches to his collar and pulls his shirt forward a little bit so that he can reach into under his collar to withdraw a folded piece of paper. It's not neatly folded. It's actually kind of fat because it appears to have been crumpled up before he flattened it, folded it, and tucked it. Now, spending a night in the castle, I came across this in the room I was in. I'm not much of a tabloid reporter myself, but considering you had some history with the Vox Machina, perhaps this would mean more to you than it would to me. It was
I furrow my brows and pull my hand out in front to take the offered paper.
I hand it over. It was actually quite moving. Sad. Hopeful. But mostly sad.
Well, if you're my eyes, I'll read this while we walk.
Rizo?
Because I certainly can't be his eyes.
Alright, I'm just gonna link that in,
I already
private
linked
message.
it.
Oh, okay.
Where to next, fellows?
Well, we were supposed to hit the Sun Tree within an hour, but it's barely been 15 minutes.
From what I hear, the Sun Tree is beautiful.
Yes. It is.
Johnson starts walking towards the Sun Tree.
Does he have a compass in his head, Seamus? Oh, he seems to know where he's going.
Only in this town. Otherwise, he's listening to everyone move around him so he can figure out which way he's supposed to go.
Oh, I see. Makes sense.
So, Cure,
No.
Please.
what you doing?
Well, the only thing I had left to do during my time was to go back to the alcove to make a certain exchange.
Mhm.
And once I had taken care of that, then I would head to the Sun Tree. All told, with everything I needed to do and to change the attunements on my armor, it would have taken about an hour or so.
Yep. Alright, so you guys, anything in particular you wanted to do while you were waiting at the Sun Tree?
Oh, hit the Slayer's cake, get some bread, feed some birds.
Alright.
Be right back. I gotta tend to the dogs.
I did
Orf.
forget to mention, I would probably take a few minutes to scribble out a quick note to Ilya while I was at the temple
Mhm.
and arrange to have a page deliver it to her. just briefing her real quickly on where we were going next.
You do notice that Seraphim is in. She's doing drills, footwork drills, in the courtyard, and you do know that they've been staying in the same house.
Even better, after I compose my note, I'll head over to ask her if she'd be so kind as to make sure that Ilya got it for me.
She looks at you and nods. Sure. Happily. And she puts it in a side pocket. Is it a rush or no?
I would prefer that she got it sooner rather than later, but there's nothing in there that's pressing.
She usually sleeps until from breakfast time to lunchtime, but I can get it to her after that. I'd rather not wake her.
Nor would I. That's fine.
Poor girl doesn't not get enough sleep.
I can imagine.
I mean, none of us do these days, but her more than the rest.
She has taken, from what I understand, she's taken quite a bit more responsibility upon her shoulders than anyone expected her when we first came here.
Yeah. Running her own brigade at this point, and most of the town guard. Everyone outside of the castle walls. And doing most of... well, you know.
I do. She is in dire need of a vacation. Perhaps once this war is over.
Wouldn't be a terrible idea. I heard there's some beautiful places in Marquette.
I've heard similar. I've heard interesting things about Wildemount as well.
The Menagerie Coast. Read about it in a book once.
I hear it's quite beautiful.
It is.
And there's this moment as we both dream of what life would be like if we didn't have to worry about this damn war. Then I'll probably bid my farewell and get going.
As you kind of turn to go, she kind of says, "If you wouldn't mind, can you keep an eye on Seamus? He tends to be foolhardy."
I pause for a moment to consider how I should answer that. I will do my best.
Thanks. And I'll keep an eye on your lady here.
Thank you. I give her a little bow of respect.
She matches it. May the mother watch over everyone.
May the mother watch over us all. And away I go.
Yeah, she goes back to her footwork drills. So you get to the Sun Tree. Macklin has an army of crows and actually a couple of ravens in his group now.
Hello, friends. Tell me tales of what you've seen.
As I approach, I'm kind of rifling a little bit in my new black bag hanging from my shoulder under my cloak, and just kind of peering into it, messing around with stuff. Look up to the tree and find Macklin surrounded by birds.
And his cheeks are stuffed with bread. Like, he's eating it, he's feeding them, he's taking a bite, feeding them. This is his element. These are his people.
I'll try to approach him from behind.
Macklin, roll me a d20.
A D20?
Yep.
Alright, straight up D20. 11.
Okay. You get a couple of pieces of shiny ribbon.
Oh, ribbon! I'll take it! Shiny ribbon!
And a pen nib.
A pen nib?
Yep. Like a nib for a fountain pen.
Huh. Okay. Oh, I could probably take a read and some ink and make that work. Oh, thank you. You've done well.
And you see as Jawson has on his wrist this one raven that he's feeding bread to, just talking to him. As this is all going on, just one lonely raven.
Josen doesn't realize that the raven he's tending to is actually a pigeon.
And he'd be okay with that.
Pigeons are pretty, well, they're not as smart, but they're still good friends.
As Kior approaches, she'll speak up to Macklin. Thinking of converting? Are you muted, Macklin?
No, I was trying to come up with a good comeback.
I was about to say, she stunned him into silence.
Stunned him into silence. He takes a moment to forcibly swallow his mouthful of bread. Takes a quick swig of water from his water skin. I was going to say the same to you. There are things to be said for a couple of years doing ranger work.
I find my efforts otherwise needed elsewhere these days.
Well, to each their own. Yeah, and Macklin will bid the birds adieu and make his way down the tree.
Jawson would stand up as Kira approached, and for anyone that's paying attention, you would notice instead of the armor that you remember him wearing, he's currently wearing scale mail that is made from black scales and made out of jade. Sure, you're back.
I am. Are we ready to go, or do I have a moment to purchase some items from the Slayer's Cake?
I'm sure we can take the time to get a little snack.
I'll swish my cloak a little and head over to the Slayer's Cake. Don't need to make a big fuss about it. I'm just looking to buy about a dozen muffins.
Okay. I feel like on principle I should make you make a roll a muffin check, but
I'm setting myself up for it.
costs about 3 silver, but are you getting assorted muffins, blueberry muffins? What sort of muffins you getting?
Yeah, I'll get a assorted muffins.
Okay. You get assorted muffins. The young gnome behind the counter does not... She smiles at you and serves you, has no problem. Anything else for you, my lady?
No, that will do. Thank you very much. Did anyone follow her in there, by the way?
No.
Okay.
Everyone has already gotten their sweets.
Yeah.
All right. Then a few moments later, she walks out of the Slayer's Cake holding one muffin.
This whole time, Seamus was sitting at the base of the sun tree, leaning against it, just reading over the letter again and again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That sounds like important shit, then. I picked the right guy to give it to, I think.
Kior crumbles the muffin and distributes it to the ravens.
They happily
That's not
chomp it
fair.
down.
You're bribing them with sugar. Come on, whole grain has more nutritional value. It's better for you.
It's a whole grain muffin.
I squint at Kior.
Don't worry,
I cock my head at him.
there seems to be a never-ending amount of birds to feed baked goods to.
I mean, for the birds, it's not like, oh, there's a better cake. It's like, no, there's 2 cakes. Even better.
Yes.
These are going to be the fattest ravens.
Fat, happy, and willing to bring back shinies. Soon they'll be bringing me skulls. I'll make a necklace.
Well then, are we ready to go?
Ready as we'll ever be. Though I do beg to question, how exactly do we get to where we're going?
That is a good question.
I fold the paper and put it away. And look up. Well, that's the question, isn't it?
I assumed one of the Arcanists would figure out a way.
Well,
Can that
yes.
magic
Odrin.
shock too? Oh. Odrin is a crack shot when it comes to teleportation.
Yeah, the problem is, if I can't get us there, I can't get us back.
Oh. Hmm.
My magic doesn't do quite that yet.
Well, what do
I'm
we
still
know?
learning that.
What do we know about the plane of fire? Is there an
It's
ambassador
hot.
there? Thank you, Kior.
Just doing my part.
Cure. Why don't you roll me
Yeah.
a deception check?
$11.
Cool.
I think I'm good at insight.
Deception to say it's hot?
15. Do I notice anything off key about her voice or any stutters or anything like that?
There's some forced levity. Cure has been, whenever the subject of the Realm of Fire has come up, Cure has gotten quiet, intense, but just kind of went along with what the group has gone with. General feeling is that she definitely does not want to go there. Actually, it seems like she was more willing to go to hell before she was the elemental plane of fire.
Sure, do you have problems with fireplane?
Well, it is hot, like she said, and she is wearing plate mail.
Stole the joke right out of my mouth.
Seeing as you can actually see Jozin's eyes, even though he's like looking at Macklin, his eyes squint, and you know they're directed towards you. There's more to this than you're saying.
Perhaps it's something we should speak about. Lest it compromise our situation down there. Have you made enemies there?
I cocked my head to one side, considering.
Perhaps one of the Raven Queen's foes who will murder, death, kill you on sight?
No. No, the only people I knew who had enemies there were Vox Machina. My brother and I are the reasons they had enemies there.
Oh. That does sound like a rather important note.
Why would you and your brother be the reason they have enemies?
Pit fiends do not take kindly when interlopers attempt to steal the slaves they were looking to buy.
So many things make sense now.
Huh.
So, should we go see Odrin?
Yes, let's.
Yes, perhaps
Yeah.
Odin. And
George
perhaps,
starts walking.
well, I guess I'm following Cure because she's going first.
Jozin follows.
Okay.
I'm right beside Macklin.
Okay. It doesn't take you long to get to the alcove, head up the stairs to the apartment Odrin is sharing with his apprentice and his apprentice's girlfriend. Y'all knocking?
Oh yeah, I'll knock on the door.
Knock 3 times on the window.
The door swings open and a young tabaxi is there, and she smiles at all of you. Not quite as warm as it usually is, but still a smile. Alright. You guys have been by a couple of times. What's up?
I've only been by, I think the last time I saw you guys is approximately 4 days ago.
True.
I think that was just for a cup of tea.
Yes. I meant these other people.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I think her enmity falls squarely upon our shoulders. We interrupted dinner.
Yes.
Among other things.
I just sort of tilt and turn to look at Seamus deadpan. The faintest smile on Macklin's face. Not grinning, not smirking, just like, really?
Is Odrin
yes.
around?
He's
Kior
going
just
there.
sighs.
All teeth, no smile. Got it. Odrin, yes, he's in his study. So, I'm going to close the door, and then just open it again. And so she closes the door in your face.
Okay.
Jasmine just stands there.
Yep, door slams in your face.
It's fine, guys.
Is
There's
this
gonna
a
be
magic door situation?
Yes. He this is what he does.
Wizards are strange.
You get used to it.
I squint at the door.
Okay. You guys gonna open it again? Because she said she's gonna close the door and you should open it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna open it now.
Kior does not trust this foul magic.
Jocelyn, you swing open the door, and a completely different room stands in front of you. Books on all sides. And it looks like an office.
Matron mother.
I walked straight in.
Kior's totally surprised.
Jasmine does that hand gesture for everybody to walk through the door.
Macklin follows. Wonders never cease.
So you guys walk in, and it's actually like a different apartment. It is a study, and it seems like the room is mostly study. But there is a small kitchenette on one side, and a door that is open and leads off to a bedroom. Odrin looks up at you all from his book as you enter. I was wondering when I'd see you all again. And I was wondering when you would darken my doorway again, Jocelyn. He leans forward, kind of closes the book he was studying. What can I help you with?
One of those wonderful favors that I enjoy asking for so much, as you're so generous.
A favor, I thought we were collaborators. Are we not collaborators? And I looked to Cure for that one.
Kior is just too busy marveling at the room.
Odrin kind of laughs. It is true, we are collaborators, especially when you wish foulness upon my enemies. Come.
Foulness we shall get.
He motions you in and closes the door behind you. What can I do for you?
So, it seems that although we are strong, we're not strong enough to travel the plane. My skills as a arcanist is not as strong as yours, and we need a route in and a route out.
Either a path or a portal. Afraid I've never come across a door that leads there in my travels, however.
It's quite an ask.
Yes, but quite important.
He nods and moves to his desk, kind of looking over everything. I could enchant something that would be able to give you a portal door, but it will take some time to... You'll be stuck... It will only be useful once a day.
Once a day is very grateful.
And it
Two-way
would-
door, once a day.
Yes.
Sounds doable.
And it will be 10 minutes to cast. It will not be instantaneous.
Oh.
So, make sure we know how to escape. Got you.
So you're going to the fire plane, and he kind of clears off his desk with a wave of his hand. Everything kind of packs itself off and scoots off to his side, and he starts drawing runes in an arcane circle around his desk.
Yes, the fire plane is where we want to start with, but herein lies the other question. Is this item only going to be able to be used twice, we'll say, or is it going to be just once a day for as long as it isn't broken?
Once a day, you probably have 3 uses out of it. And it will only link to the fire plane. I assume you're planning on other places, though.
Yes.
If you tell me what they
Hell.
are, I can make such an item that will let you go to hell next time.
And then the Shadowfell would be the last.
I can create such things.
I just want to make sure we know where our alignment is.
You know,
Did we know exactly where in each location we had to travel to?
you do know. Do you ask this out loud?
Just trying to see if Cure recalled, because I know there was the City of Bronze and the Fire Plane?
City of Brass.
Brass. Thank you. And I kept thinking of the City of Dis, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
I believe it was the City of Dis.
And one of
Alright.
it's the ninth, huh? Right? One of the
City is on the seventh level of hell.
7th level. That's what I thought. Well, I knew it was one of those levels. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
the Shadowfell is Shadowfell.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that if we knew that we needed to go to the cities to find the soul batteries, and if we knew that, I would tell that to Odrin.
He knows. He's the one that told you where to go.
I say them anyway because I forget about that.
Well, you know where our target locations are, so
He nods. I can get you close, but you might have to do some asking around and some investigation to find out where he might be hiding these things.
that part I think we can handle just fine.
He nods and starts muttering under his breath a little bit here and there. And the runes start lighting up on his desk, one by one. It looks like it's going to take a little while to make, but...
How long do you figure we have? You know us, we like to be prepared ahead of time, and we've already kind of prepared for this.
He finishes the spell, and a small piece of chalk in the center of the runes go out, and the chalk glows. He looks at you. How long to what?
I didn't even ask a question. I
He
should
nods.
never doubt you.
Well, That goes both ways. And he kind of gives you a look that you don't see, but you can you sense it in his voice.
I just
Sure
smile.
looks between them. She tries to insight check Odrin to see what he means by that.
Mhm.
Doesn't know anything.
It's guy love.
You know what? It's definitely Guy Love.
The bromance.
You think Odrin might actually have a little bit of a crush on him.
Huh.
I mean, Josen's pretty rugged.
Don't
He's
know
not
if he
rugged.
is.
Those wizardy types, they're
He's
eccentric.
got. Isn't he more of the scrawny hermit type?
He's not scrawny hermit, but he is scrawny-ish, yes. No, he doesn't look scrawny hermit-y anymore, besides the wooden circlet that he has around his head. He looks more like a, let's say a scrawny cleric-y type. Form has definitely changed.
Beefed up with the power of Hades.
He shaved.
Got swole.
No, actually, he has a beard.
Uh,
A very light beard. Not very heavy at all. Anyways.
Are you guys going to be alright in the city of Brass?
well, he picked up some scarves.
Can
of
any
fire
mortal
protection.
truly be all right in the city of brass?
No, not particularly.
We've managed to make it this far. I think we.
Okay, well, this chalk links to a portal inside of the city, so you won't have to pay to get in.
Very kind of you.
That toll can be steep.
I can imagine. How much do you know of the city of Brass and fire?
We've been once or twice. Demons and fiends and Ifrit, Jinn. Any creature that would find the heat pleasant, you'll find one of them there.
Got you. Any tips that you have for us? Anyone that we should seek out?
Anyone who might be sympathetic to the cause of a world without Vecna.
A few. I would suggest perhaps checking out. He kind of looks at you and then moves to a side wall where he starts fingering through journals. Give me just a moment. I need to find the name of it.
As he's searching, I'll turn towards the others. Actually, something I did want to ask. How many of you are carrying potions of healing?
Macklin sort of opened up his cloak and he's got a couple bottles plugged into the interior of his cloak.
Jozen looks down at himself, looks up at Cure, down at himself. I tend to not have to worry about such things.
I pull out my potion of greater healing and my much larger potion bottle that has 3 charges left, and then I put them back away.
And how many potions are you carrying, Macklin?
Going through them now.
Annie. I thought I did have 1 or 2, but I don't. I think I gave them to you all my last time.
I've got 2 greater healing potions and 2 alchemical coins of cure wounds.
All right. Well, it
Oh,
seems
my
like we're
coins.
fairly well stocked.
Actually, the circuit of spell storing, can I use that to store spells?
Yep, you just have to get rid of.
I have to pop Thunderwave first.
You can dissipate the
You can-
spell without casting it.
Okay. Yeah, I have it in my inventory, but I don't have an actual description of what it does. All I know is that it has Thunderwave at some level in there.
It has Thunderwave at first level. It can take 1 third level spell or 3 first level spells. If I recall it correctly.
It's just like the Ring of Spell Storing.
Yep,
But a
just
circlet.
circle it.
Okay.
Ah, here it is. The Flaming Mug.
Doesn't takes mental note.
Is that an inn?
It is.
Sounds like a tavern.
It's a tavern and an inn,
Flaming mug.
and the owner is sympathetic to mortals and won't immediately subjugate you.
Not a thing the locals do for kicks. Just meet a new
Your
friend and
grunts.
subjugate them.
What did Kier do?
She grunts, and then when Macklin voices his question, she speaks
You're
up
back.
and adds, "It's a center of slave trade for several different planes of existence.
Oh. Well, it seems like they go for the more athletic and brawny ones first. I mean, you look like you could push some marble up a steep hill.
They favor anyone healthy enough to do labor, be they man, woman, or child.
Yeah, not picky. Well, that doesn't play into my favor.
Well, here's the piece of chalk. Draw a doorway, and you should be able to enter. It lasts 6 seconds, so make sure you're in a safe spot so nothing can follow you.
Oh, so it stays open for a while.
Same amount of time as most doorways do for us.
I see. That could be marginally problematic. Just don't use it while we're running away. As if we ever run away. And I glance at Cure, eyes, brows a little high.
Since when has running away been an option?
Pleased with his point, Macklin folds his arms.
Well, you can leave from here if you'd like. Or you can head outside and leave from Whitestone, whichever you'd prefer. And he waves his hand, his desk goes back to its messy state.
Oh, okay. My mic was muted.
Welcome back.
So Dartwell is gone.
You did.
Oh, good. I'll start making my new character.
Not Cure.
Also, you can check out the Flame Garden. I know that they were old friends of Vox Machina, from what I've written, or what I've read of Percy's journals.
The Flame Guard?
Flame Garden.
Flame.
That sounds rather lovely and quaint.
What is the Flame Garden?
It's a jewelry store.
What was that?
A jewelry store.
Kiora just kind of purses her lips behind her mask and grunts.
Grunt a lot. Well,
Kiora grunts.
I appreciate all the help as usual.
He nods. Of course. Anything to further the cause?
And that we need help with. Turn to the group. Is there anything else you would like to take care of or handle before we leave? Anyone you'd like to say goodbye to?
No, I should be fine. Everyone else?
I've made
Everyone
arrangements.
knows.
Very well. Shall we bid our leave?
I gesture and say yes. Lead the-
I take the chalk from Odrin and hand it to Seamus. Your arcana is stronger than mine.
I quickly take the chalk and I draw the doorway, and then I head on through.
Kiora hurries after.
Macklin follows suit. And if Josen hasn't gone through, we'll call for Josen to follow. Door is up. Let's go.
I smile to Odrin and give him a polite bow. Till we meet again, brother. And walk through.
Okay. You walk through and immediately are deposited on a hot street. The smell of sulfur and just burning fills your lungs. It's hot. It's probably 115 degrees.
Oh, Jiminy Cricket. It's like a volcano's ass.
And you know that
I start coughing.
you know that feeling when you step from like the movie theater and into the bright lobby? You didn't notice that Whitestone was having a gray day or anything, but when you step through, it's immediately just bright. Everything is bright. Everything has a reflection that's just... it's bright. It actually takes you a couple seconds to kind of get your bearings.
Kiora appears to be standing stoically nearby, but no one can tell that she has her eyes closed and she's just adapting to the brightness of the light.
Yeah, Kiora, you actually adapt a little bit quicker than the rest because once upon a time, this was home.
I hate this place.
Well, I see they were...
Johnson is hacking up a storm right now and is like on one knee.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not good.
Macklin approaches and places one hand on his back. Are you going to be all right?
Yeah. Give me a second to adjust.
Aye, aye.
I grab the bit of clothing that we got, and I think it was a scarf,
It was a scarf.
It was a wonderfully soft scarf.
and I wrap it around my head appropriately, looking somewhat like we had just gone back to wow, brain.
And Karel.
Marquette.
Back to Ank'Harel.
Yeah, and as you guys look up, it's you guys are in, and your eyes adjust, and you guys are in a bustling city. Um, it's just packed with people. It's packed with people in the same way New York City is packed with people.
That's a lot of people.
However, you notice that the sun seems to be lower in the sky, and people seem to be bustling here and there.
All right, well, let's not stick around like a bunch of tourists sitting in one place. Move with traffic, eh?
Move where?
Blend into the crowd. We have to find our whereabouts. I just sort of stare at Cure, like, oh god, you don't know one of the core life skills that you need.
Cure grunts and strides into the crowd.
Jocelyn grabs Seamus's shoulder. You're gonna have to lead me on this one.
Yep. Just hold on tight.
Alright. City is a city is a city. This should be fun, maybe? I'm gonna
No,
roll
it
stealth.
won't be.
Try to blend into the crowd.
Okay.
22.
Alright, why doesn't everyone roll, please? Roll me a blending in.
Did stealth?
Yeah, stealth.
We're locals!
Cure's
No,
moving
sorry.
with a purpose to make the crowd part around her.
Oh, Christ. But intimidation? Persuasion? Diplomacy?
Yeah, what would I roll to stride with purpose?
Intimidation.
27.
Nice.
10.
You're striding. People are looking at you.
Well, at the very least, we have our distraction.
I ignore them. I don't know where I'm going, I'm just striding through the crowd.
That is true.
Although,
Alright.
as we're going, I am looking for landmarks that I dimly remember.
Roll me a d20, please.
Five.
Sounds about right.
Okay, give me just a moment.
Cure does hate this city.
Sure does hate this city.
It's a bad city.
She hates this city.
I'm not liking it.
Cure, you do find yourself and you kind of look around and you realize where you are. You're at the Arches. It's not as busy as it usually is. And it looks like most of the market has wrapped up for the day. But you do hear people calling back and forth. You know, one celestial for sale, young,
Oh,
in good shape.
Cure is stiffening immediately.
Two
This
elves.
is why she can't walk with purpose.
Two elves, young, have all their teeth. Know several languages, things like that you're hearing.
What language are they speaking?
Seems to be a mix. Some primordial, a lot common. A couple, infernal. It's definitely a mishmash.
I was gonna say, so she definitely can't pretend to not hear any of them. She very obviously hears them.
Hmm.
And that's probably why her walking becomes a little stiff.
Yeah, and you guys do notice this.
Noticing that Cure is off her game, Macklin is going to approach, sidle up beside her, and give her a gentle nudge to the hip, because he's actually to the knee, because he's at knee height, I think.
Her hand goes to the hilt of her sword before she notices Macklin.
I was going to ask if you were going to be okay, but the pommel hand speaks volumes.
Let us go about our purpose so we can leave.
Right? Oh,
Remember the tavern where we need to go?
the Flaming Mug. It seems these people speak common in addition to a number of other languages. I could break up, hit the road, and see if I can scout for information.
All of you roll me a perception check.
20?
That's appropriate.
It really is appropriate.
That's a 12. I'm focused on Cure.
11, even though my passive is 18.
My passive is 17, so...
Not even gonna bother rolling a perception check.
Yeah, no. This wouldn't be something you see. Because you can't see.
Yeah.
Cure, you look up and you see... You do see a young woman, blue-skinned, blonde hair. Looks remarkably like you, but dressed a lot more revealing. The large, thick collar around her neck. And she seems to be looking you over. She moves close to you and kind of bows her head.
Can I tell if she's Azamar or Genesai?
She is definitely an Asmar.
Damn it.
Keep looking lost and they will take notice of you. And she whispers it to you, Cure and Celestial.
Do I hear that?
Yeah, you hear it.
I squint at her from behind my mask. I have my hood. I'm like, my hood is up. I'm totally obscured, and I'm instantly suspicious.
Ooh, that accent! I don't know what she's saying, but it certainly sounds pretty.
And she smiles at you, Macklin.
I replied to her in a celestial, in a very kind of terse voice. We're looking for an inn. What was it, the Flaming Mug?
The Flaming Mug.
The Flaming Mug.
That sounds right. I would be happy to take you.
I am eyeing her collar, looking around. I have no tact. I say in Celestial, should I assume that you're for sale?
I am not
I
for
tilt my
sale.
head slowly towards Seamus.
This is all happening, Celestial.
It really
Yes.
is.
So...
I motion back and I point at her.
I am a trusted pet.
One of my hands twitches.
I grin ear to ear. To whom?
Making the DM flip through notes.
No,
Monster.
making. Yeah, she just looks at you. Well, if you don't want my help, I shall move along. And she steps away.
Oh, don't go away, gorgeous. What did you do to her?
I smirk. I call back out to her. Oh, I'd like your help, but I assumed you would like some help too.
This is not a conversation to have in the middle of the open street. Continuing to speak in Celestial.
I tilt my head at Cure.
Perhaps
And-
we could buy you a drink.
That would be nice. Follow me. I will show you where there are good drinks.
One particular place in mind for us would be the Flaming Mug.
Oh yes, they have good drinks.
Is Macklin the only one who can't speak Celestial?
I guess so.
So Macklin, what you see is this beautiful blue-skinned woman. She sticks out immediately because it's blue against red. Like, almost everything surrounding you is red, and she is just a soft kind of pastel blue color. Wearing a kind of revealing Grecian-style gown,
I should hope so.
and a thick gold collar with a ruby set in the middle.
Oh, that's pretty.
And she kind of talks to you. She walks away for a second. She kind of talks to you again, and then she smiles, winks at you, and kind of, gives you a follow me motion as she leads you down the street.
Oh, she's good.
Cure follows her, all her feathery mantle all afloof.
Yeah, Cure is
Oh,
definitely a floof.
Feathers has ruffled.
Somewhat the whole.
As they walk, Macklin's gonna keep his eyes peeled. Just because, beautiful strangers don't just find you out of nowhere and lead you to where you need to go. He's looking for lookers. Looky-loos. 18.
Yeah, people are looking at you, but they're almost looking at you less now that you're being guided. It's almost like she kind of, when she is walking with you and leading you, she must be someone of note, because people are once they look at you all, they immediately avert their eyes, like they don't
We've
want to
been-
make eye contact.
We've been taken under someone's wing. Okay.
And it does take you it's a good 10-minute walk, and it's kind of a hike because it's almost uphill as she leads you to a bar called with a picture of a mug on fire.
It's on the label.
I believe this was the restaurant you're looking for, or the inn you were looking for. And she actually says this in common this time.
Ah, correct. Yes, this is the one.
Good. Shall we head inside?
I think that would be wise.
I think that would be lovely.
You might have to vouch for me. The owner is not a big fan.
Cure grunts and takes the lead, stepping inside of the inn,
Okay.
tavern, restaurant.
Okay. You step inside the inn. And you are greeted with a very clean, pleasant tavern in soft woods and chairs, and it's set up like a normal tavern, but it's about 50 degrees cooler. So
Huh.
it's a pleasant 70 degrees.
Goodness.
Macklin shifts next to the ASMR woman and quietly speaks up as they're entering before they get in. If we're going to vouch for you, perhaps we should know your name first.
Names are very important. That's true. My owner has not seen fit to give me one.
Oh, that villain.
Just because your owner doesn't see fit to give you one doesn't mean you don't deserve one or have one.
True.
What is your birth name?
She kind of pauses for a moment and kind of looks at you all over. Almika.
Almika. Oh, that wasn't so hard. That's a lovely name.
She nods to you all and kind of motions for you to get inside, and she follows you in.
As we roll into the flaming mug, like I shift behind her, between her and Jazan, and as we walk through the door, I change to. Unfortunately, with the nat 1 I got, I change into another ASMR that happens to be male. Some people might know them.
No.
Wow.
That's a handsome look.
Cure
Almika.
pauses and turns. How familiar is this look?
Have you looked in a mirror recently?
Your male cure.
No,
No.
that's not the word for it.
Oh. Who knows?
Yeah.
Cure. So you turn around to go to see what, because you hear Macklin kind of make a noise. You hear Almika kind of make a noise. So you turn to see what the hell is going on, and you see, for a split second, it looks like Hunan and you, and then a second you shake your head and go, no, that's dumb. That's Almika. That's not Hunan.
For a second, Cure bristles and her hands kind of clench and unclench. And then she seems to deflate a little bit as she stares at Seamus. So this is the punishment you've decided on. And she turns around and starts walking again.
You are a very odd one, she says, looking at you, Seamus. Perhaps maybe that is not a good choice for you.
It does look a little derivative.
What
can do
is
better.
going on right now?
So all of this is happening, and a woman behind the bar is just watching you all.
Cure is approaching the bar.
She's the only one in the bar. And she looks at you, Cure, as you enter. She's a tiefling woman. Small, red tiefling with black hair that kind of fades into white. You travel with interesting people. And she pours you a drink, Cure, before you even order.
That's one way of putting it. I nod my thanks to her and tilt my mask without removing it as I take a sip to find out what she poured me. Not that I care, so long as it's strong.
You can tell Garrix's girl to get out of here, if you would like.
Could you spell that, please?
I think you know how it's spelled, but sure.
Wow, I was way off.
Oh, hell.
Friend of yours?
Whatever she gives me, I down it in one shot and just kind of slam it against the table.
It's water, so it's not as satisfying as you would like.
My kind of bar.
I need something substantially stronger.
Well, get that slave girl out of my bar. Now we can talk about it.
Is this in common?
Yeah, it's in common.
Is it loud enough for the group to hear, or just between Cure and...
It's not quiet.
Cure switches to Infernal. She is performing a service for us.
Macklin's ears?
Is
You don't know.
likely that we would receive a similar welcome were we to take her with us elsewhere.
No one wants that sort of trouble in their establishments.
What is it that you have against the...
Have the others actually like approached the bar, or is
Oh, yeah.
I
Tell
wish
me
I
the
spoke
truth.
more languages.
The others have approached the bar. Almika is still standing next to the door, like looking at it.
Johnson stands by his question.
I actually stand by Almika. I haven't gone to the counter.
Does the girl have a reputation then?
She won't live long enough to get one. No one wants Gyrix's drama in their bars. And no one wants to see the before picture on their pets.
Who is this Garrux?
He's a pit fiend.
He was a pit fiend.
Was he now?
Hmm.
I kind of look up at her. And what is he now?
Gotta look something up really quick. Sorry, notes.
He's a mobster.
Cure has been here all of 10 minutes, and it's the worst place she's ever been.
I'm not liking it either.
Just
Mac-
everything is conspiring to make this just a terrible time for her.
Macklin's going to approach Seamus and Almika and try to go the route of diplomacy. Well, perhaps we're not wanted here. Maybe it's best to take things outside while the proprietor considers things and perhaps cools off.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look something up really quick.
Did Macklin really just say cool off in regards to going outside the 70-degree inn?
Yes.
Yo, I got a scarf. And it's a wonderfully soft scarf.
Why are you not in my player's handbook? Thank you.
Just curious
Ice
why.
shakes.
Sorry guys, my computer's being ridiculously slow.
And they done that.
Cram more RAM into it.
Downloadram.com.
Urix sounds like something that comes out of your stomach.
It doesn't it?
Like a secretion of some kind.
Like I feel it like in the back of my throat, you know?
Like
It's
a
"Grr."
like a slurry.
He's
Like it's not
a
bile and it's not vomit. It's not mucus. It's Urix.
he's a Baylor now. Not quite as high as a pit fiend, but still only a matter of time before he climbs to his previous heights.
Unless someone were to finish him for good.
If Macklin could cup the ASMR's ears right now. And we're walking and we're moving
She just looks at you,
and
Macklin,
we're
and
not conspiring.
she gives you a sweet smile.
He's just trying to usher them out, and Seamus isn't having it. And clearly she doesn't want to leave the 70-degree bar.
Jazin puts his hand on Kyora's shoulder. Remember, we have certain matters that we need to take care of while we're here.
You assume
And-
I've forgotten. I have not, I assure you.
He smiles and he looks over at thing behind the bar, and this lady was nice enough to escort us here and show us the way, and we owe her a drink. So, if you wouldn't mind allowing her into your establishment, so that we can pay where our debt is owed.
Fine. If you want to drink with a dead girl, have at.
I've been known to be called dead once or twice as well, so maybe her life is meant to be a little bit longer than you.
You see that collar around her neck? Don't think so.
These are manners that we may tend to, but for now, a drink, I think, is what's owed. Jazin sits down.
How special then?
You would have to ask her what she would like to drink. And Jazin kind of motions the three behind in.
Omika has been watching all of this with sharper eyes than you guys had. She does a good job of appearing to be kind of doe-eyed, but there's a sharpness to them as she watches all of this happening.
Oh yeah, she wouldn't have approached us if she didn't know what the fuck was up. That said, as the conversation turns and the proprietor seems to cave under pressure, Macklin makes his way pluckily toward the countertop. Takes a seat, or rather stands on the seat so he's eye level. Now, when you say dead girl, is someone in her position got a short shelf life?
She is a celestial that has been sold to a demon.
Oh, those two have bad blood, don't they?
I believe it's in their names, Macklin.
He nods a little bit to that. And then he looks back to Almika.
Jazin kind of pats the stool next to him for her to sit.
You poor thing. Were you aware of this?
Macklin, for someone who professes to excel at moving through cities, you know nothing about what goes on here.
Almika sits next to Jazin and she nods to Macklin. Yes, of course. Why else do you think I was able to wander through the city? No one will get near me.
Unfortunately, my first time through town, you'll have to forgive me as I pick up the ways of the people here. What
Where-
terrible fortune that is.
Is there?
Where's Seamus sitting?
Oh, I'm starting to walk up once Almika walks to the bar. As I'm walking towards the bar, are there mirrors or mirrored surfaces?
Yeah, the whole place is it's got plenty of shiny bronze and brass and various metal types. Almika looks to you, Macklin, and nods. I know what my fate is, of course.
Well, that's rather unfortunate.
The only alternative is to not know.
Well, they do say ignorance is bliss. But there is something to be said about bold defiance of one's fate.
As I'm walking up towards the bar counter, I recognize that the shape I have is wrong,
Oh, it's very wrong.
and color flushes over my face.
Now, I've seen Cure before without her mask on. How does she compare to Almika?
What?
That's how it's out of
Roll.
character.
Roll me a perception check with advantage.
With advantage. Nice.
I love it. This is
I'm
great.
starting to wonder about my own perception. My own
25.
Near
perception a moment
identical.
ago.
Mm.
Though Almika is much younger.
Oh no.
No,
Jocelyn smiles at the girl and he says, I am a firm believer that we all choose our own fate. You'll be lucky enough soon to feel the same.
I doubt it. Drinks are poured for you all, and she kind of looks at it and pokes it a little bit.
Rather peculiar. That's a woman with a death sentence is going
Cure
around
downs
making
her drink in
friends
one
with
go.
strangers.
What's that?
Cure downs her drink in one go,
Okay.
swallows hard, and turns to stare at Almika.
It's kind of like a spicy margarita type deal.
Ew.
Definitely rum based. Maybe some tequila.
Cure's fine with that.
As you shift to a tiefling, she looks at you. Well, that's a handy gift. Maybe don't advertise it.
Seamus shakes his head and grits his teeth. It's not always willing. Look over at Cure. My head. I'm sorry. And then just sit down and plop 5 silver on the counter. And then I say, the strongest, most terrible rot gut you can give me for that.
Cure, what you roll an insight for?
1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. You're trying to figure out what I'm pondering?
Are you weak and weary? Oh wait, it's not really dreary tonight, is it?
Oh yeah, you got a hunch, Cure.
One of these.
Cure starts murmuring under her breath and turns back to her empty glass.
Macklin's gonna place a gold coin on the table. I suppose water comes at a premium in a place like this.
Cinder takes all of your money. And she nods. It does not, but I'll keep you in it.
Well,
And
I'll take it.
I have a special treat for you. And she actually, she gives you a glass of water with a perfectly round, clear ice cube in it.
Oh, thank the gods. I am sweating like a sinner in church. And he just tips the glass. Much
Wow.
obliged, madam.
I love Macklin so much.
Now, it strikes me odd, Almika, that you'd be willing to make friends with a couple of strangers from out of nowhere, considering your current situation. It's almost serendipitous that you found us.
Well, you were easy to spot. Also, what else are they going to do to me? Kill me?
Well, if they knew who you were traveling with, yes. Oh, well, they're going to do that anyway, so I suppose that's not a big deal.
That would be my point.
He strokes his chin contemplatively.
Macklin, if you are done reassuring her of the fate that awaits her under the creature's thumb that purchased her, perhaps we could speak of something different, such as the fact that we will need a guide to this city, and since you have presented yourself, it would be in all of our best interests if you were to stay with us and guide us for as long as you are able.
Might buy you a little more time if you were to offer a gold bounty to your owner for services rendered to us.
It won't matter, Macklin.
Yes, it won't, but it might make my... You all are interesting, and might give me something pleasant to hold on to. He doesn't return to the embassy for 3 days, I can give you that.
He's out of town?
I'm alive, so he's not in town.
I wasn't certain if he was the kind to play with their prey.
He will, but I will be in no shape to wander.
I speak up in Celestial again, with my eyes narrowed at her. Have you seen a giant orb?
Red in color.
Green.
Actually, I was curious about something similar to that, and I turned my attention to the bartender. As they're asking their question, I ask this poor woman whose name we haven't even gotten yet. You mentioned this Gurix person has been escalating in power. Has that been a recent thing, or more of a slow game?
She smiles at you. Oh, my dear friend. It is a long, long history. Gurix used to be the ambassador to the Nine Hells.
Oh,
He was
big deal.
Very
That's
high,
a big deal.
very high-ranked pit fiend. And then he had a little incident at the Arches, and was recalled to his home. It has taken him, gosh, 20 or so years now to...
He was embarrassed by a group of outsiders from the material plane.
He was.
Seems outsiders tend to cause problems in the towns like these. Any idea what he did to get back into the good graces of his graceless lords?
Made good deals. Brought home things like that. And she points to Almika. You know, the general things that can bring one power.
So he's regained his power by capturing and selling more slaves?
Not completely, but it has brought him some measure of notice, but mostly it was a couple of very good deals with mortals, I think.
The mortals that he negotiated his deals with, are their names known by chance?
She shrugs her shoulders. Not particularly. Not to me, anyway.
Seems like a question to ask a fiend.
Almika, how long have you been in the service of this creature?
I was sold to an Aaron, yes, 2 days ago. So, I haven't met him yet, of course, because, I mean, you would know if I had, because I would not be here.
And what did you do before you were sold to the Aranyas? How did you come to be in this city?
Roll a persuasion check.
$21.
Wow.
Okay. I was sold by my mother to pay some debts.
The glass in Kior's hand promptly shatters.
Alright.
That's a sad, sad story.
Rather terrible, yes.
Indeed.
Well, I, for one, don't want to see anything happen to this young child.
Then I suggest you leave within 3 days.
Arrangements can be made.
3 days, hmm?
But we have something to accomplish first.
Yes, unfortunately, we might be here for some time.
Hopefully we can make it less than 3 days. So, as far as we know, there should be deals being made. There's, I imagine, creatures that you would notice that aren't from this plane coming in and out of here.
Oh yes, we can't be the only mortals here.
Perhaps creatures of undeath.
Necromancers, vampires.
How big is this
Maybe
city?
not vampires, but
The city is very large.
Like a couple miles long?
Yeah.
It's a major city.
Alright. That just means we have to get close. A little close.
have you guys noticed anything strange of that sort?
Aside from us. Well, not the undeath part, just strange folk in general.
Thank you.
Almika kind of shrugs her shoulders. The tiefling behind the bar rolls her eyes. Yes, there is, of course, several undead, including one well-regarded vampire in town.
Vampire here.
Oh, anyone we know?
She shrugs. I don't know who you know.
Do you
Well, I
happen to
mean-
know his name?
It's a woman.
How long has she been in the city?
Gosh, several years now. She brings in batches of humans that look... They're known for looking alike. Sells them in sets.
Macklin's brows come to furrow.
And her name?
Is anyone else getting the strangest sense of deja vu?
I know she's called the Baroness.
There. Has she been around lately?
The tiefling shrugs. Don't know. It's been a bit dead. And she motions to the room around you guys, which is, in fact, empty.
Now that's rather tragic. This is a nice place.
Where is this vampire known to frequent?
She has a bar in town.
I do
Well-
believe it's time to go bar hopping.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Bad news?
How long would it take the guards, of which I have not seen any yet, how long would it take any guards to respond to a ruckus in her specific establishment?
Almost instantaneously.
That's a loaded question.
There are. Do you know? You don't know how many guards. The Illuminated are some of the best trained guards that have ever existed. You. She looks frustrated with all of this.
To be fair, we are new.
If you go to Bellfloors and start trouble, you will not survive with a minute.
A minute.
I said you won't survive a minute. Not saying that it will take them a whole minute to get there.
Yes, but you're saying that I have a chance to kill her.
When did I ever
Kira
say
just
that?
lowers her head.
Whoa. Okay, let's take a step back, Seamus. I understand. Just whoa.
What was the name of that inn again?
Belfurs, I believe.
We have important business with the likes of a baroness.
Yes,
Thank
we're
you.
always looking to wine and dine with the socialites of all towns we join. Oh, beautiful flowering.
Macklin, you don't know this, but we have history. She needs to die.
If I'm not mistaken, we took care of that months ago.
We took care of a friend, not her.
As I recall, a shadow demon took care of her.
No, Macklin, back when we first got together, we found a vampire creature trading slaves. And, well, you know the Tabaxi, correct?
Well, yes.
That's where we found her. A young lady like this one here who was enslaved through the bidding of others.
Didn't Cure kill her?
The shadow demon killed her. Burst out of her chest. She exploded. Gore everywhere. Perhaps you weren't as traumatized as I was, but
What you?
unless this is a different Baroness we're talking about.
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm.
There are two Baroni?
Yeah.
Actually, there sounds like there might be three.
Oh, the ghost story. We're back to the ghost stories. The one that looks like Vax?
Well, there was the one that they killed a long time ago that Cure tanked by just turning the grapple check against her into a grapple check against the vampire. You're not holding me, I'm holding you!
So I growl and groan a bit, and I lean in close to the bartender, and I ask a very pointed question. The pairs that always seem to look alike, like this, and then my face shifts to Ilya first, sits there for 2 seconds, and then goes through Seraphine, and then drops back to the tiefling form that I have right now.
That's a couple of them. Almika kind of makes a noise behind you. I must get going. Curfew comes early tonight.
Macklin,
Are you worried about Gurix or the guards?
Yes.
Macklin turns around in his chair. Perhaps an escort is in order?
I think that you would get in more trouble finding your way back from escorting me. We'd end up in a loop.
Troubling. Well, perhaps we'll run into it again.
I will see if I can slip away.
That collar around your neck. Would it be wrong to assume that there is some enchantment upon it that prevents you from simply leaving this city?
It would be a correct assumption. It is by which I am tracked, by which I am kept in order.
Sure, nods slightly. And if we were to provide a lockpick of sorts, perhaps we might entice you to stay in our company a little longer.
If such a lockpick could be provided, I would have to leave pretty quickly. Kind like me are very rare, and I would assume that the moment that they know I'm gone, they will turn the city upside down trying to find me.
That might be arrangeable. In the meantime, perhaps you should take care of yourself. Keep your head low. Maybe don't associate with strangers like us.
I'll walk you to wherever you're staying. I'm curious where Gurix is holed up when he's in the city.
It's the embassy, but you will draw attention to yourself on your way back, and you do not want to be out after curfew.
Unless you don't go as Cure.
For the first time, Cure just kind of looks up from where she's been staring at the table and looks over at Macklin.
He's not making eye contact. His eyes are up and to the side, and he's twiddling his thumbs. If we could perhaps get a hold of a certain kit of disguise, you could be anyone you want to be. A little bit of blush, a little bit of makeup, you could be her.
Cure
Or
just stares at him
anyone
for a
else.
long moment. Is there time to walk you to the embassy and return here before curfew?
I believe so.
Cure stands up. Then I will walk you.
As you wish. She kind of shrugs her shoulders and takes her leave.
As she heads out the door, Cure lingers to glance at her party. I'll be back shortly. I'm going to take a look around.
Of course, Cure. We trust you not to get into too much trouble.
Don't get into any trouble, please.
If you do, it won't be hard to find you.
Cure doesn't say anything. She just follows Almika out.
Macklin lets out a long sigh that he didn't realize he was holding. Are we really just going to let her go?
Right now, we need to, until we devise a plan to get her out of the predicament she is in.
Technically, we could just... Well, no. There are things to do in the city. This isn't about Almika. But it does seem that something is afoot. Jocelyn, Seamus, what do you think we should do?
I think we should have a meeting with this Baroness.
I'm of a like mind, actually. I think it might be enlightening to grace her. Of course, there would be the matter of making our way there. Bellefleur's sounds like a rather classy establishment. Madam, Miss Bart, excuse me. And Macklin leans over the counter and flourishes and touches his fingers to his chest. My name is Macklin O'Mara. What's yours?
Cinder.
Cinder?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a lovely name. It matches the fiery complexion of yours. Miss Cinder, what do you know about this Bellefleur's establishment? Is it well, the name seems to imply certain things, but I won't cast judgment just yet.
It is a high-quality brothel that serves some of the upper crust in the city.
Oh. Okay, spot on then.
Mostly Ifrit and Fire Genasi. The occasional tiefling, if they've done well.
Well-to-do tiefling. I glance over to Seamus, who I assume... Seamus was a tiefling right now, right?
Yep. Seamus is wearing a tiefling's face.
Times like these, I'm so glad I'm blind.
Well-to-do, eh? Well, Seamus, I'm sure you can muster up some pomp and circumstance.
I can make myself out to be a big deal, but without the commensurate stories for everyone to have, I might as well be putting a target on my back.
Most nobles carry a letter of introduction, have a handful of servants, an advisor, perhaps even an old, sagely blind advisor, one well-versed in arcane magics. And I looked to Joseph when I mentioned that.
I laugh and shake my head. Perhaps I wasn't clear. People at that establishment will know us. They might not know my face, but... And then I point to Kior and then to Jazin.
Cure.
They'll know them.
Cure is left.
Oh.
Did not know that because I had gone on. So yeah, I point... I point to Jazin and I motion towards Kior who had left. We're recognizable.
Oh, bother. Macklin frumps and sits in his seat and puzzles over that one then.
I can show up in disguise. I could possibly have you along. But the others, were they to show up, they'd have to be invisible. And I'd have to hope that there are no charms when we walk in to dispel camouflages.
I could just put my shield under my cloak. Don't have to see what the shield has on it. Otherwise, I'm just wearing scale armor.
Yes, Johnson, your face just... I know you're blind and you don't think about this.
Wrong with my face? Doesn't kind of start. It feels fine to me.
I think word may have spread as to the identities of the heroes who have thwarted the Baroness, or one of several Baroni in the past. The problem with prestige, when people know you, unfortunately, people know you.
Well, for now, we'll wait until Cure gets back and then figure out what we want to do from there.
Right, we have some options, and we have more drinks to be drunk. And we have Lady Cinder to regale us in the tales of the town and her own experiences here.
Yeah, so...
Plops more gold on the table.
Then, Lady Cinder, I have to ask, what stays in your bar never leaves your bar, correct?
Of course. I don't keep it 70 degrees because I cater to the elite here. I cater to outsiders.
I'm sure you've heard of outsiders coming in and, you know,
Shit.
killing things, right?
Of course.
Okay. We're clear that, let's not repeat any.
I don't repeat things. I am known for my discretion. There's very few in this city that I don't have something on.
Macklin goes to speak and then finds that he has no words, lifts a finger, and decides not to say anything.
Alright, and on that note, we're going to shift to Cure.
All right, as we're walking to the embassy, I'm going to keep an eye out for any bazaars that might be selling anything that I might be able to like throw over myself to kind of disguise myself, like, you know, just like a brown sheet or something.
No, unfortunately, things are starting to close up because curfew is so strictly enforced.
Brilliant. I'm quiet for a little bit as we're walking, keeping an eye out around us.
Okay. People don't seem to be paying you any attention. Like before, if anyone looks at you, they kind of take one look at Amika and, kind of avert their gaze.
Well, it seems you are very good at deflecting attention.
People don't like looking at The Walking Dead, I guess.
You know, despite what the gnome insists upon reminding you of, not all who crosses his path ends up dead.
Oh?
There was a time when a band of strangers from the material plane robbed a particular pit fiend of a certain pair of favored prizes.
Roll an insight check.
"16.
Okay. She does not look at all surprised by your story.
He has been embarrassed before. I see no reason why it cannot be again.
It would be lying if I said that I hadn't hoped for such an outcome.
He doesn't return for 3 days, you said?
Yes.
Well, a lot can happen in that time. And we will need a guide for as long as we're in the city.
I am mostly ignored by his staff at the moment. No one pays much attention to... I mean, why would they?
Indeed. And it seems that as much as we tend to draw attention, as I said, you're quite good at deflecting it.
People know what I am and what I'm going to be and what they think my future holds. People don't like looking death in the face.
Their loss. I found a great comfort in looking death in the face.
It does bring things into clarity, doesn't it?
I glance at her, my porcelain mask expressionless. A great deal. I then look forward, walk in silence for a moment, open the black satchel at my side, and pull out a muffin and offer it to her.
She smiles, takes it, and just starts munching on it.
I'm not sure what kind of muffin I drew.
You roll me a muffin check.
Told you I was setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my D12.
Just Bran. Just fucking Bran.
I'd say it's chocolate chip.
Okay. She eats it, and she eats it like a... You roll an insight check.
16.
Okay. Yeah, you recognize the table manners of someone who is pretending like they weren't just a starving street urchin like 6 weeks ago.
I make no comment of it and politely give her that kind of respectful silence as she eats, pretending that I don't notice.
She finishes it and kind of wipes her mouth and... Look, this is not my first time being condemned. I've managed to get lucky so far.
Indeed.
So don't worry too much about your friends offending me or anything like that. It loses its sensitivity the first 3 times.
I suppose that's the saddest part. That it's repeated so often that it ceases to lose meaning. That's what this place does. That's what the people here do. Constant reminders that your fate is sealed, that whoever chooses to buy you will have their way with you in whatever manner they please. They try to rob you of your sense of self, your sense of well-being. They seek to break you down and remold you in any way they see fit.
I try to think about it. You can't break water.
Break water?
It's flexible. It's fluid. It fills the vessel it's in and takes the shape of the vessel it's in.
I grunt a little bit.
I just try to be like that. If I want someone to cry under a whip, I'll cry under a whip.
How long have you been in the City of Brass?
She kind of closes her eyes as she walks and thinks. Oh, goodness, I think I was sold... I was 9? 10? So, 6 or 7 years, I think.
And do you remember very much about your parents?
No.
Well, I'd say you're better off anyway. Not remembering them, I mean.
It's not worth it.
Not in the slightest. No mother and father who would do that to a child is worth remembering.
I think that they maybe may. Why bother? Was I really worth that much in coin?
Some people will do anything for coin, to feed whatever habits they need to feed.
Seems like a bad investment, is all I'm saying.
I wouldn't rate yourself so lowly. If you've lived here for this long and have not let this city ground you into a sniveling servant, then I'd say you're worth far more than whatever coin they received when they sold you.
That's a pretty thought.
Doesn't make it any less true.
You guys, as you've kind of finished this or come towards this part of the conversation, there's a large black spire. Two demons with glowing red eyes kind of watch you as you approach.
I stop a bit of a distance away so that they can't eavesdrop on us. Well, you know where to find us. We can make it worth your while if you were to return to us in the morning and perhaps help us find out what we can about the Baroness in this Bellfloor bar.
I will certainly try. And she nods to you as she approaches.
I put my hand on her shoulder before she gets too far away from me. Then I kind of move in front of her so my back is towards the other guards. The gods do work in strange ways. I'll remove my mask.
She looks very, very confused when she sees your face, and she actually looks pretty young. Why would you risk coming here?
Well, as I said, the gods work in mysterious ways. I came here for one task, but I believe I found another.
You should not be traveling alone. Please rush
I'm
back.
not alone.
She looks at you, a little incredulous. You risk a lot just by walking me here. Please, go back to the flaming mug, please.
I replace my mask and pat her shoulder once before I start to walk past her. Don't worry about me. I've endured this place once before, and I've endured far worse since. There's nothing here that can hurt me anymore.
I beg to differ. She calls out after you, before realizing that she's drawing attention to both of you, and she kind of shuts up and scurries into the building.
Kind of fold my arms into my cloak and just kind of stroll my way back to the bar, alone with my thoughts.
No one seems to notice you at all, whatsoever.
Wherever I go, I do not walk alone.
Apparently, my green dye agrees with you.
The gods work in mysterious ways.
It's almost
You're-
like the gods roll a dice about your fate.
Cure takes this as a kind of sign when by the time she returns back to the flaming mug.
Alright, by the time Cure gets back to the flaming mug, Macklin is slowly spinning in his chair. And he turns to face her. Ah, you've come back in one piece. Wonderful.
Yes. Almika will return to us in the morning to act as our guide through the city.
He nods slightly. And what are we going to do about her, new owner?
Let him come.
Well, it lacks finesse, but it's as good a plan as any.
Cinder's just kind of behind the bar, cross-armed, watching you all. So your plan is to what?
Cure-
for starters.
Well,
Cure sits down at the bar and kind of actually explains a little more. Well, it occurred to me as we were walking to the embassy that the four of us draws attention. It also occurs to me that no one wants to pay attention to her. It seems like we could do worse than to take someone who deflects attention away from her and the people she travels with as our guide.
right, hang around the social pariah so none of us get noticed.
Cure inclines her head a little bit.
But the question is, how do we set her free completely?
I'm fairly certain that Seamus has a spell for that.
Well, this does
David?
sound like something familiar.
I look up around. I'm like, it would have been really weird for me to identify that necklace she was wearing without her knowing what I was doing. I mean, imagine someone ogling, a certain part of your body, leering so creepily. It's not cool, guys. It's not cool.
I mean this with all due respect, but you've done worse.
Stop for a second.
You did wear a very ugly hat. Oh, you still have it on. Good God.
I moved the scarf a bit to hide it a little bit more again.
If the leering doesn't scare her off and creep her out, that will.
This is a treasured covering. It really ties me
The
together.
collar. To bring attention back to the matter at hand.
Well, if it's anything like the last Baroness we dealt with, it's probably the same type of magic, yes? Something similar enough to figure out. If we're traveling with our companion, you'll have time to look at it.
The problem is, that first one. It was blue with arcane energy that matched to a lock. And that was more just to imprison someone, not. I don't know what's going on with this one. I can check on it. I have an ability that if the magics are not too powerful, I can break the magic. Yeah, that's the best I can do.
Cure kind of thinks for a second, then looks at the bartender. Do you have a private space we may be able to rent from you?
Sure. What are you looking for? Rooms?
Well, we could use rooms. Curfew is coming. And this is the only inn that we know of.
There's more hidden rooms. That's maybe a smuggler might use.
That sounds up my alley.
She grins at you, Macklin. It probably is up your alley. And she kind of writes she puts a symbol on the bar, which you recognize as a clasp symbol.
I thought I liked you.
Do I recognize it at this point, considering how often he flashes it to other underworld people?
What sleight of hand? You've never seen you flash it. Okay, you've seen it once or twice.
You
Oh, no, roll sleight of hand checks, man. Come on.
you
What sleight of hand are you?
You recognize what she's saying. It does not take. She doesn't seem to be hiding it from you all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the language, but I think by now I might be able to recognize the sign Macklin flashes as a sign of, well, the clasp. I know he works with the clasp.
I certainly don't work with the clasp to recover artifacts and people who are sold into the fire plane.
Oh, well, I mean, smuggling rooms in a slaver town, that's unheard of. That would be very illegal.
I find myself far less worried about a private place to speak now.
Friends in low places.
Rooms
is-
would be nice, though. A place to sleep. Agreed.
4 rooms. And she pushes the keys across the, 3 rooms. No, 4. Sorry, I just can't do math. 4 rooms.
4 room.
Here you are. And she pushes the keys
Thank you.
across the counter.
And the cost.
We'll discuss it later.
Fair enough.
Mecklin smiles and squints happily.
The collar that Almika wore, is that favored by all the slavers in the city, or just by Gurix?
That's a demonic special.
Is it common among the Belle Fleur girls to wear something similar?
Similar. Occasionally. The Bellefleur girls are more in a de facto slavery more than a literal slavery.
Ah. Working a debt, working a lifestyle. I see.
Yep.
Well, ooh, boy, I sure am beat.
I think I have to agree. Take my key.
Okay.
I will meet you all down here in the morning. Jocelyn walks upstairs.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to stay up for a while yet.
Glance over to Cure and sort of cock a brow. Perhaps I'll stick around and make sure Cure doesn't drink too much. Misery does love company.
Just don't get into trouble.
Oh, perish the thought, I'm a good boy.
Don't get into trouble, Macklin.
I won't, promise.
Jocelyn walks upstairs hesitantly.
Not until tomorrow, anyway.
No, I heard that.
You're planning it.
Okay.
Does Seamus head upstairs, or does he linger at the bar as well?
Seamus lingers at the bar.
After a couple minutes, not because Josen left, but mostly because Kiora has been spending this time silently thinking to herself. She'll speak up. I can't leave her here.
I didn't think we were.
Kiora just nods.
Melchior, you can't save everyone. But I sense a kindred spirit here. I don't doubt that you won't
Emphasis
leave.
on kin, I think.
I'm of firm belief that you won't leave until she's free. So, my 2 cents don't matter here. Begs the question of how. How do we save her? What do we do for the poor thing?
Well,
The
if we-
Go ahead, Seamus.
I was just gonna say, if I can get the collar off of her, that's the hold, I think.
The demons will also know the moment you remove the collar, so when we do act, we will have to leave quickly.
Be it a hasty retreat, yes. Of course, that would ruin our chances of finding the battery here. The orb.
So we simply find the battery first, do what we came here to do, and then take her with us when we leave.
Well,
Belvoir seems the best place to start. It is, after all, the...
I think your microphone's not working, Sam.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, as I was saying, I think Belfleur would be the place to start. I mean, that is where people were being channeled to from the brothel, and that would be the next place that we know is connected.
And we do know the proprietor there does deal in look-alike girls.
And I was thinking, I have that beautiful ray of light. I can make that last for about a minute, which would pretty much cover the amount of time I need to get the door remade to get us home.
I thought
So-
they said the ritual takes 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's 10 minutes.
Yes, it'll take some planning.
Yes, I was thinking of my other abilities. This is so troublesome.
We can speak with Josen in the morning, perhaps take some time to look at her collar when Almika returns. And then set out and see what we can find out about the Baroness.
About how late is it?
It's getting later. It's probably coming up on 10 o'clock now.
And there's a curfew in town.
Wasn't it like lunchtime when we left Whitestone?
Times don't line up 100%. But yes, you left Whitestone at like lunchtime.
Well, perhaps it is better to sleep on it. We had a few ideas while you were gone, but most of them pose a great deal of risk.
I'm not averse to risk.
And it is entirely dependent on how well Seamus can lie.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Macklin inclines his head and smiles a little bit. From what I understand, Bellefleur is a gentleman's club for the well-to-do tiefling. Those men who have made themselves, as well as, what was it, Efreets and Infernals? Other kinds of hell creatures. Those who are higher in the caste, higher in rank, they'll go there to sample and smell the flowers. If, Shane is here, can keep up his disguise well enough, and assuming they don't have magic that would dispel his natural gifts, I think he could pass himself off as one of those well-to-do tiefling nobles. Perhaps a bit of forgery is in order. Get the proper paperwork, make the right plan, the right tale to tell behind him. May be able to get in with a little bit of help, and glean information from the place. Of course, he did bring up the fact that Cure, you, and Josen are likely well known among these parts. What with tampering with the Baroness's plans in the past. Food for thought. Alternatively, I still think the old switcheroo is a viable plan. So long as you're willing to go on your own adventure, Cure.
Cure grunts.
I mean, you're not a good liar, but
I will do whatever needs to be done to achieve my goal.
we have options. I think the first matter of business is finding out where that sphere is, and I think Bellefleur is our first lead.
I agree.
Though, Seamus, if you were to use that item that kindly wizard gave you, the book, would it give us a better idea of where our quarry is?
Vaguely. I pull out the book and covertly
I think you cut off.
16
after you
slide
said-
of hand check. So for trying to hide what I'm doing when I pull out the book, 16 sleight of hand to pull out the book and hide what I'm doing from the bartender, and I activate the map.
The bartender is not paying any goddamn attention to any of you. She's like left a bottle of wine in front of you all and is reading a book.
So I've brought up the map, and I'm like, this really gives us no real context for where we are in the city, but that general area right there is where Odrin had noted that the item or something of importance would be. So, I mean, if I had a map of the city to compare to and knew exactly where we were, I could possibly say, where we need to go and verify what that place might be with our friend here, but I don't have enough information.
The mark is just on the city. The city of Brass. It doesn't say specifically where in the city.
Oh, damn.
That's what I thought.
Oh, bother. Well, what can you expect from wizards? I have to get our information the old-fashioned way. Buying.
Okay, I'd like to keep going, but I'm getting tired and the puppies keep asking me to take them out. So I have to step away again.
Okay.
Okay.
10 o'clock's a good time for me to end as well.
Yep. I was waiting for you guys to finish up this scene and say you were heading to bed.
All right. Right before bed, Macklin's gonna pat Cure on the back and announce that, well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm turning in. Cure, you have some history with this place. If you need a sympathetic ear, all joking and ribbing aside, my ears are huge. I'll see you tomorrow.
Cure nods.
And with that, he's gonna make his way to his room.
She'll eventually head off to her room after a little while longer, sitting and pondering at the bar.
Okay. And as you all get a night of sleep in the only air-conditioned building in the city of Brass, we're gonna end it for tonight.
Well, this was fun.